What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Pearl Daily. Before we get into the topic today, just to test it, if you could put a one in the chat if you can hear me. A one in the chat. I just want to double check because last time I don't think it was working. Yeah, okay, one. You guys can hear me. Okay, perfect. So today we are covering Charlie Kirk's death. I'm going to read the article about it, or the news post. Basically, Charlie Kirk was doing an event at a Utah campus and he was fatally shot. So Charlie Kirk fatally shot at a Utah campus rally. Conservative activist Charlie Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA and a key ally of former President Donald Trump, was fatally shot during a speaking event at Utah Valley University on Wednesday. This incident occurred outdoors in Orem, Utah, amid a debate with students, leading to a campus lockdown and a widespread condemnation for political leaders across the spectrum. Authorities are actively searching for the shooter with no motive disclosed, as the tragedy reignites concern over political violence and campus security. Oh, the audio isn't working. Hold on. All right. Somebody was messing with my set this weekend when I was gone. Let me see. Is it better now? Is it better now? We can hear you? Okay, I'm getting conflicting things from the chat. It's better, okay. Okay, I'm going to reread it. Okay, I want to go. I don't know, guys. So today, I was in the middle of a guitar lesson when I heard the news that Charlie Kirk was shot. And I was just in shock. I was having a really hard time concentrating because, we did have our disagreements. We didn't see everything the same, but the past 10 years I've watched his content. And this just feels like in the last 2 years, things have gotten so crazy. Like, I don't remember anybody getting shot in the last decade of abortion debates, woke activist debates, or any of that stuff. And regardless of how you feel about his opinions on certain issues, nobody deserves to die because of an opinion. And it's just weird to watch someone do a type of content I've done before, and be somebody that's really was monumental in the culture war the past decade. Die. And it was just really sad. Okay, let me read what I was reading earlier. So it says, Charlie Kirk was fatally shot at a Utah campus rally. Conservative activist Charlie Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA and a key ally of former President Donald Trump, was fatally shot during a speaking event at Utah Valley University on Wednesday. This incident occurred outdoors in Orem, Utah, amid a debate with students, leading to a campus lockdown and a widespread condemnation from political leaders across the spectrum. Authorities are actively searching for the shooter with no motive yet disclosed, as tragedy reignites concerns over political violence and campus security. Reactions on social media have splurged, with millions expressing shock and grief, highlighting Kirk's role as a husband and a father. It's actually even more sad because I don't know how this happened. People that know him told me that he had like Secret Service as his security. So I don't know how this happened. Okay, let's see. All right, so okay, so this was him earlier today, like literally this morning. Pearl, I don't agree with your content, but I want to say thank you for being there. Thank you for showing up for a man of Christ. Thanks for watching. I'm just in disbelief. I wish I could. It's so weird because I've interviewed so many of these guys and they really are brave. Like I interviewed Andrew Tate, he got thrown in jail. I interviewed Tommy Sotomayor, thrown in jail, Nick, assassination attempt. And Charlie, I mean, me and my dad went to one of his events probably like 5 years ago now. And I didn't spend a lot of time with Charlie personally, but his right-hand man like spent like 4 days straight with us. They were really nice. And again, while maybe I disagreed with him on certain issues, it, this is just, it's such a tragedy to see a guy that's so young go out this way. Like he didn't even get to enjoy the second half of life. Okay, let's see. Let me watch this. Share my screen. To save this country. That's getting rushed out. So weird. That was him. Wow. And then with Trump too, this is going to set a precedent for political events. I don't think people are going to be, even streamers. I sent the link to a couple streamers. I don't know if they'll hop on, but it's like, I think a lot of people are going to kind of move differently after this. You have to. Okay, let's see another one. Share this. Oh, Doug, this is like 2 hours long. Let me go to the next one. Okay, and the crazy thing is, Democrats on Reddit can barely contain their glee over Charlie Kirk's shooting. So there's a lot of people that are actually celebrating his death. And this is something I really don't see on the right. I don't see the right having calls for violence against people that disagree with us. I understand people thought some of his opinions were abhorrent or they didn't think they were the right opinions, but he was still a husband and a father and he was doing a job. Fred said, like, these are some of the comments off of the Redditors. Bummer, time to release the files. Well, that's terrible anyway. So what's everyone having for dinner? I hope we truly find out. I truly hope we're in the find out era for shitty human beings. If you want to limit the access to guns for civilization, I guess if he had his own gun, this could have been avoided. What a shit show. I don't care for this guy, but trying to kill him is insane. He did say he was fired up and ready. Oh my gosh. Pro-gun activist shot. Ironic. The video looks like he was shot long range, something like a rifle, appears to have done serious damage. This is not the way to handle things. However, when you make a career out of spewing vitriol and hate, you are going to attract the crazies. The dude is a clown, but wolf, don't go shooting people you don't like. Yep, this is a major moment. I ain't a betting man, but I can guarantee the shooter was a radical Democrat, and they'll start coming for guns. Charlie is most likely dead, shot to the neck. Yeah, and I don't think I can play the video on YouTube, but if you go on Twitter, it's at the top, and it's there's this guy, Hassan Mafi, says, what happened to Charlie Kirk happens in Gaza every single day, and he cheered for it. Karma comes when people least expect it. And it's just disgusting. I understand we can have a difference in opinion of war, but I mean, he was a father. He was a husband, and everybody that worked with him had good things to say. Again, you go back and forth in this space, you disagree with people, but wishing death upon anybody. So essentially, yeah, they did arrest this guy, but it wasn't actually him. Charlie Kirk even tweeted a couple of months ago, assassination culture is spreading on the left. 48% of liberals say it would be somewhat justified to murder Elon Musk. Holy crap, 55% said the same about Donald Trump. In California, activists are naming ballot measures after Luigi Mangione. The left is being whipped into a violent frenzy. Any setback, whether losing an election or losing a court case, justifies a maximally violent response. This is a natural outgrowth of left-wing protest culture, tolerating violence and mayhem for years on end. The cowardice of local protesters and school officials have turned into a ticking time bomb. MSNBC hopped on the bandwagon, and this is just the audacity of these people. It's crazy. Here, let me show you.
In which a shooting like this happens.
Yeah, and again, to emphasize what you just emphasized, we don't know any of the full details of this. That we don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea about.
In which a shooting like this happens.
Yeah, and again, to emphasize what you just emphasized, we don't know any of the full details of this. That we don't know if this was a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration, or so we have no idea.
Yeah, they just speculated that it could have been a supporter shooting their gun off in celebration. Oh my God. Okay, share this tab instead.
Advice of younger figures in this, but following up what was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions.
All right, Doug.
But following up what was just said, he's been one.
You cannot hate the left enough sometimes.
Yeah, I didn't think this was real either. And we this channel, you and your platform have had your differences with Charlie Kirk and his wife, but I always put it akin to Charlie Kirk. He was like your little brother that you kind of made fun of, but you knew when he graduated high school and he got older and stuff like that, that he do big things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he just been around for so long. And for this to happen to him, like Myron has to watch out. I mean, you have to watch out, Pearly Pearl. You have to watch out because this could have.
I'm done with street interviews for the year.
Yes.
I'll know.
Any conservatives that are doing street interviews or events, this is setting the precedent that none of them are safe. And so I'm just Charlie Kirk. He went out saying his message, on his mission, you know, doing what he loved to do, and that's, that's. I mean, I'm just at a loss for words. You know me, I'm almost never at a loss for words, but I just can't believe it.
No, that's how I feel. I mean, we grew up like I just can't. I remember when I was in college and everything was like, I think that was like peak left was about when I was in college. So it would have been like 10 years ago, maybe like 7 to 10 years ago. You barely ever heard any dissenting opinions that were right leaning, especially when you're in very left leaning institutions. And I just remember binging him, Candace Owens, Jordan Peterson. And I'm not saying they're perfect people, but they still were effective at changing people's minds, you know? And it's so sad to just see where the country has come. Where I don't know, I can't remember anybody having issues like this for a decade. And in the past year, Trump had an attempted assassination at an event. Nick had someone come to his house, and now Charlie Kirk was shot dead at an event. This won't be the last. There will be copycats. Who do you think did it? Do you have any idea? Like, do you have any speculations? Darren says, Hero of Faith no longer with us. Rip Charlie Kirk. I'm going to adjust my camera slightly. 1 second.
So the way that he went out, because they're saying it must have been a long range weapon, because there's no video that shows someone walk up and like pull out a handgun and get him. So they're trying to figure out what the angle was, and it was probably someone with like a lot of training, enough to make that kind of shot. If it was someone that just whipped out a handgun and got him, I would say it's some stereotypical blue hair, something like that. But for someone to make that kind of shot long range, yeah, I can't tell you what kind of person it was.
Oh, do you know who I want to have on? Let me see. I want to see if Law of Self-Defense. He would be a good person. I'm going to send him the link.
Yeah, guys.
We would love you on to give your take on Charlie Kirk. Let's see. I'll see what he says.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. We really appreciate this. 2,384 people watching on YouTube. Make sure to hit that like button. And in the chat, what did you think when you first found out? Or, what did you agree with Charlie Kirk on, and what did you disagree with Charlie Kirk on? We can't deny the fact that, especially for young people, Charlie Kirk was a voice against the liberal university indoctrination camps. Turning Point University was literally a youth organization targeted towards younger conservatives having a voice. And go ahead.
Terrence Pop wants to call in. He's perfect. He's military, so he's gonna have. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah.
I really wanted somebody with a gun expertise to come on, so he's actually going to be a perfect person. Keep going. Sorry about that.
Yeah. And so you want to talk a monumental fight. And here's the thing. The conservative space is just like the red pill. I hate when people try to gatekeep the red pill space. The red pill space is still so new. It's only about 8 to 10 years old. So there's room for many voices. And this is a fight that can have many different methods and many different voices. It's the same as conservatism, especially conservatism towards young people. We never really agreed with what Charlie said, but at least he was out there, because I'd rather have someone follow Charlie Kirk's way than all this, LGBT, HGTV, purple hair, gender studies garbage. You know what I'm saying?
And I agreed with a good amount of stuff. Like the conservative stuff. Really, Kirk, if you want to call in, I'm just sending this to a few people that have expertise in the field. I talked to someone today that said they thought it was someone from the LGBTQ
I say that's like
community.
90% the chance that that's
Yeah, because there's so many mentally ill people in that niche, um, that it can be a tough one.
it's just
Do you think
and
gonna be like people are gonna do an attempted assassination at like Crowder and like some of these other like Candace Owens? Like, do you think this is gonna be a pattern? Because
yes,
because people were, saying like I got texts today saying to watch out and stuff, but I don't think I'm really high on the totem pole of people they're gonna, like I think the people that should watch out would be like Crowder for sure.
Myron.
Um, yeah, Myron, Candace. I mean, I've kind of the last year, and this is part of the reason why, taken a step back because I mean, these people go after. I've had people, and I'm not trying to make this about me. I'm just saying there are. I understand, like, I mean, there's people like it can be very unsafe in the industry because people do show up to your house, they call your job, they dox, like, they dox your address. And the left, like, they just think it's funny or they think that you deserve it because you have a different opinion. And it's like the lengths they'll go to. It's not like it was 10 years ago. Like, I don't know, 10 years ago, you could debate and yeah, like the leftists would crash out, but I don't remember it being this violent. Do you? Am I missing something? Do I just not remember it maybe?
I think that the rhetoric from the left always talks about right wing extremism, but it was all words. Understand what I'm saying? Now there's action from the left, though. Like the left have been saying, "Oh yeah, the right are gonna all these right wing crazies, and they have all these weapons and stuff like that." But it's the left that's been burning down the cities. You know, taking action against conservative speakers and all this stuff. So the right have had to do. I'm sorry, the left have had to deal with the words, but the right have had to deal with the violence from the other side.
Welcome to the show, Terrence. Thanks for calling in.
How you doing, Pearl? This is not a good day. I'm pretty upset.
Yeah, I'm shocked. I can't even believe it.
I'm not. I knew this was going to happen, and it will happen again.
Really? How did you know it was going to happen? Like, you thought it was going to be Charlie, or did you just think somebody?
No. With the amount of pressure that's being put on by the Trump administration to clean up a lot of the garbage that's been going on for the past 15 years,
Mhm.
that and with the media hyping this up, and basically the media is fanning the flames of hatred and violence. It was just a matter of time before this was going to happen.
So, do you think it was a professional hit? Like, what's your take on who do you think did it?
All right, so I watched the footage. It's very disturbing. It was not a straight on hit, in my opinion, because the spinal column was not involved. Usually, when a person is shot that high up in the spinal column, you get a ragdoll effect.
Hmm.
So it was, it hit him on the side. You could see the copious amounts of blood leaving his body, mainly because you have an artery and a major vein which feeds your brain, which consumes 20% of your energy and the majority of the oxygen that you breathe. And as soon as I saw that, I knew he had less than a 5% chance of survival. And I mean, I'm not trying to speak ill or anything. This is just the truth as I see it. You can hear the crack of the round. Now, from the audio that I've heard, because I looked at three different clips from three different camera angles. In my opinion, it was some type of 5.56 round, which is, military, the AR-15 uses that. Plus there's a lot of other weapons can use it as well. More than likely it was fired from an elevated position. Now, do I think this is a professional? Look, if they fired the rifle inside of 300 meters, no, anyone can make that shot. It's incredibly easy to do. The only reason Trump didn't get his clock cleaned is he turned at the right time, just so it hit his ear. It didn't hit him in the face. Because the 5.56 round does, it's a lot of damage. It was designed to wound and create large wound cavities, and that's what it does. Now, from what I've heard, the shooter is still at large, but there are cameras all over that place. So we'll see what unfolds in their investigation. I've already called my people. I'm waiting on information. I have individuals on the inside that I communicate with on the regular.
I have
Well,
a
how
question.
does
Go
how
ahead.
does that happen? Because I know they worked with like what is it called? Secure not it's like the really intense security that Trump uses.
Secret
Like
Service.
Secret Service.
Secret Service. How did two guys, one get shot, one almost get shot in a year when they have the best security in the
Great
whole
question.
country?
That's I'm going to be honest. I was a sniper in the Army, and hitting man-sized targets with a .308 rifle out to 1,000 meters was really not that big of a deal.
Mhm.
And it's really hard to lock down that kind of range, especially he was in a outside event. There was standing buildings within, I believe, 200 or 300 meters from where he was speaking, and to lock that down is really difficult. And yeah, I'm going to be honest that these public speaking events are probably going to have to be moved inside because of this.
Mhm.
Because this is not going to go away. This is going to continue.
That was my question. He just answered it.
Yeah, this is
Uh,
going to continue.
How do you secure a public event like that? Like, is it even possible?
Not really.
No
Okay,
way.
that was my question. Wow.
Oh, that's a good question, Doug. So, who do you think, like, if you had to speculate, what group do you think it was Democrats that were behind this? Do you think it was like, I was thinking potentially LGBTQ because they're just pretty
All right,
mentally
let's put
unstable.
everything in
Okay, go ahead.
let's put everything in the scope.
Okay.
All right, you have the Democrats are the upper echelon of what's going on. They're the ones who passed the laws and allowed all of this craziness to take place. All right, then you had BLM, you have the loose gay but twerking queer community and all of their aspects down there underneath them that were allowed to flourish, allowed to grow, were given a pass. I mean, let's be honest. If you have trans people in a school grooming children, that's a felony, and it was ignored under the Biden administration. So you have this huge festering craziness that is taking place because I track a lot of these mass shootings, and a lot of them are identified as trans and are on the left. And now another trick that the left does is when you look at these mass shootings, they put them on the right. They put the responsibility for the alt-right or the crazy right. Look, the right-wing guys, we're not burning down cities. We weren't doing any of the crazy stuff that's going on right now or has taken place in the past.
Yep.
Most of the conservatives, I consider myself center right. I am not a hardcore, right guy. But I go to a lot of the conservative functions and I'm accepted and allowed to speak, and it is what it is. I can't even show my face at one of these left rallies because they're crazy.
Lewis says the whole Western world is messed up right now. Who do you think they're going to go after next? Do you think it's going to be, my thought was actually Crowder or someone like that, like Candace Owens, Crowder, because those are all the big names. Do you think it's going to be more people like that, or they're going to go after other types of conservatives?
Well, whoever's the easiest target, because human beings are lazy. So
Oh.
whoever exposes himself in public the most will probably get the biggest target on their back. That's just the truth of it.
Do you think this is going to change
Oh yes.
people doing, like, because even me, I don't really want to do public debates anymore. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, it's going to change the. It's going to
Okay.
change a lot of stuff. Because I'm going to be honest, this is this is the beginning of troubling times, and it's going to go on for. It could go on for quite some time. I don't know how long it's going to take, but yeah, it's gonna wind up in some serious violence. Stand by, I gotta turn my
And
phone off.
and Pearl and Terrence, here's the thing that these lefties don't understand. Their people do public speaking events too. I'm not saying that anyone on the right would do it, but they're setting a precedent. Understand what I'm saying?
Yes, you're absolutely correct. And listen, there's a lot of angry young men out there who are pissed off at this, and they're the ones who are the hotheads. And this could turn into a cascade of super craziness. Now, I myself, I don't want to see any violence. I mean, if I can go the rest of my life and not have to drop the hammer on any more human beings, I'll be a happy man. But that's just the way it goes.
Oh shit! Look at there's a tweet. Someone said the shooter was found. I'm not seeing
Yeah,
that. But I
they
don't know.
they supposedly arrested an old guy.
He was no, that wasn't right.
Yeah, I don't think he was the shooter.
Someone tweeted Charlie Kirk is coming to my college tomorrow. I really hope someone evaporates him literally. Let's just say something big will happen tomorrow.
Yeah, this is what needs to happen: is all of these people who are making tweets like this on Facebook, who are condoning this kind of stuff and cheering for it. We need to make them famous so everyone knows who they are. The left has been doing this to us for years. It's time to reverse the roles.
Oh, look at this. There's a video here. This one. I'm seeing as it's coming in. Eyewitnesses recorded someone on the roof where the shots were allegedly fired at Kirk.
hmm
Let's see.
If that shot is beyond 300 meters, it's a trained shooter.
Let's see. Let's see what you think here. You can see, right?
I can see it. Yep.
Okay, yeah. Pearl Patel posted at 6:21 p.m. a suspect was in custody. Okay.
Yeah, that's Cash Patel with the FBI.
Is that the other one or the is there a new one? Well, I'll look in a second.
Get right up.
I don't know.
You think he'd already be in place? You would think that. So there's somebody on the roof right there? Just saying? He just ran from over.
Yeah.
Where's my finger? Well, from over there, ran in. Now he's right
Yeah,
here.
you know what? If you can go to a Google map and see if you could get an overhead view of that building compared to where Charlie Kirk was standing, you can measure the range pretty easily.
Just real fast, Pro, check the private chat because apparently the FBI director says that the Charlie Kirk's fatal shooting,
Okay.
the subject is in custody.
Okay, let's see. All right, FBI director says subject for Charlie Kirk's fatal shooting is in custody.
Wait,
Mhm.
hold
Oh,
on,
that's
I'm
it.
sorry.
Doesn't say anything.
Yeah,
else?
well, they don't have the details yet. It's going to take time for that to come out.
Okay.
Like this is like I run redonkulous.com to keep guys from committing suicide. I am not for anyone getting hurt, killed, or maimed. I really am not. And this just breaks my heart that this happened. Now, in regards to Charlie Kirk, there's a lot of things that he talked about that I don't agree with, but I would have loved to have debated him or at least spoke to him about it, not get violent or do crazy shit to the guy. I just feel devastated for his wife and kids. I mean, that's just a horrific loss.
I'm not going to name names, but I was told by someone close to Carly that oh my gosh. I'm not going to name names, but I was told by someone close to Charlie that Charlie thinks Israel will kill him if he turns against them. That's another question.
Well, that is, I'm going to be honest. Mossad has been infiltrating this country at will for 50 years since the beginning of Israel. 60 years, and I don't have anything against the Jewish religion or Islam. I'm just sick and tired of paying for it with our blood and treasure. That's it.
Oh, here this picture you can see better how far it is. That's there. You can see a little better.
Mm-hmm. Now, what are those? Let's see.
I want to see if there's better pictures on X. That's just what I'm seeing now.
Now, if the shot was beyond 300 meters, more than likely it wasn't a 2.23 or a 5.56 round. It might have been something a little more Like it could have been a 308 or a 6.5 Creedmoor or a 6.5 PRC, which are very accurate rounds. And you can literally draw pictures with those rounds out to 600 meters. Like you can shoot a smiley face. That's how accurate those things are.
Look how crazy this is. It says maybe Charlie Kirk shouldn't have spent years being a hateful, demagogic fascist, and this wouldn't have happened. Maybe he should have taken some personal responsibility. What is
And
wrong
what is
with
that
these-
person's name? We should mention them and make them famous. They have a blue check. There it is. Yep.
It's just
You, you guys know that Charlie's wife and kids were at the event.
yeah.
Yeah, that makes it even worse.
Awful.
Yeah, like if something like that were to happen to me, I'm an older gentleman. My kids are grown. You know, it is what it is. But he was only 31, and he was, you know, he had so many more holidays and Christmases to experience that he's never going to get to see.
And he was just getting started, guys. Charlie Kirk, a guy like him, you know, congressman, senator, something like that. You know, he was on his way. He already had the connections. He had put in a bunch of the work younger in life to set himself up for something great when he was older.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's awful.
It is. It is. I don't know what to tell you, man. You know, the thing is everyone in that audience probably had a cell phone. And I can tell you right now, the alphabet agencies are probably already contacting all of the major cell carriers in that area, and they're flipping all their numbers. They're going to know everyone who attended or was within a 800-meter radius of that issue that took place with Charlie Kirk. So it's just a matter of time before they run these people down.
Apparently this week, Andrew Tate had somebody show up to his house and like stabbed one of his employees too. Apparently the employee got stabbed pretty bad.
Yeah, and here's the thing though, is they don't seem to understand what is going to happen once the general American gets mobilized against them. There will literally be nowhere for them to run or hide.
What do you mean? Like, can you paint a picture of what you think that'll look like?
Well, if you look at the map of the United States,
Mm-hmm.
you have the lunacy has taken place in basically the Democratic major cities. But surrounding these cities is all Republican territory.
Mm-hmm.
So if this turns into a dynamic two-way rifle range situation where there are two distinct sides, they're already contained. They're already contained. And, I was in the special forces. I'm trained in spycraft, tradecraft, all of that crazy stuff. And most of the time, these individuals are probably going to run their mouths, tell somebody, and it's just a matter of time before they get identified and picked up.
Okay, this is it says it was 140-yard shot.
Anyone could make that shot with a 223 rifle.
I don't understand.
That's nothing.
How does that happen? I mean, aren't they supposed to check the roofs? Like, could you explain why it's so difficult to monitor outdoor events? Like, I would think that if you're doing an event like that, you'd have someone on every roof, for like 100 meters or whatever.
No, you need to have someone on the roof out to 1,000 meters.
Okay, so how does that happen? Do you think someone? Yeah, go ahead.
I think that the question is, how does that not happen? Because once again, Charlie Kirk is not a political appointee. He's not a delegate from a different country. He doesn't have the type of protection that dignitaries and politicians do. So, like the fact that this doesn't happen more often. I mean, he sets up a tent on a public college campus.
Yep.
Right, but from what I understand, he worked with really intense security. It's not like Turning Point made a lot of money. It's not like they don't have the money for good security.
Well, the way the security works is this. You have an outer cordon and an inner cordon, and then you have the personal security. outer cordon, like when the Secret Service does it, they would be on virtually every building, on top of every building that could be seen from where the person is going to be speaking, just so those don't happen. Okay. And that requires a lot of manpower. Charlie Kirk doesn't have that kind of money to employ those kind of people.
Here's another video of a witness says it was
I
a
mean,
direct.
here's another thing is
Mhm.
another thing that leads me to a 223 is they were probably aiming for his head and didn't account for the bullet drop. 150 meters, you're going to drop probably anywhere between 3 and 6 inches, depending upon the bullet weight and what have you. So if you're aiming center of the head and it comes down 6 inches and a little bit of windage, you're getting on the side of the neck.
Video Bob Mosley has a video of the person. It was close range.
It was close range?
Yeah.
All right. Well, then, I don't know how that... Well, if it was close range, somebody really dropped the ball, and they should have had metal detectors and a choke point so people just can't walk up and get close within shooting distance like that.
Okay, let's see. Let's see what the witness says. Hold on.
I think whoever did it was a good shooter.
Oh, wait, hold on.
I think whoever did it was a good shooter, a sharpshooter. It was one shot right directly to the heart, and we need to find out who did this. I think there should be a research completely done that took place hours, maybe a day before anything went on. Who could be there and pull that trigger and do it? And I don't think it was George Zim. He was poor, broke. He maybe was on medication, a little bit loony boon, maybe a perfect person to pick and say that did it, but I don't think he did it at all.
So at this point, but did you see him taken into custody? Did you see him with any kind of thing in his hand, any device in his hand or anything like that?
Yeah, I saw when they actually put the handcuffs behind his back.
Okay.
I followed them.
All right,
when
we're
they
going to go
took
to
him
Jason
the trooper
Chaffetz.
car.
Okay, and the other one, and then I want to show this too. This is
Live by the sword, die by the sword. He did say that gun deaths were an acceptable side effect of gun rights. Live by the sword, die by the sword. He did.
Yeah.
what is wrong with these people?
Yeah, listen, we need to make these people famous, and we need to start canceling them like they have been canceling us for the past decade. Listen, you can't have this kind of rhetoric out in the real world. It is dangerous. It is irresponsible. And I just did a show last night in regards to the woman who was stabbed on the train. And my assistant, Battledorf, we literally looked on the mainstream media websites and searched for her name, and we found nothing until 6 or 7 hours after it went viral. But stories like this and this kind of rhetoric are allowed to exist on the mainstream media, which is nothing but propaganda for the left, in my opinion, of course. And you know what? If we're going to have mainstream media doing this kind of thing, we need to have the FCC pull their licenses. Everyone gets laid off and fired. There are plenty of people waiting in the wings, willing to step up and tell the truth, and we should let that happen. Because at the end of the day, the truth always wins. Always.
Yep, I agree, 100%. I'm just wondering what universities are going to do from this point, because they're going to have to do something. If something else happens to another conservative commentator on a public university, Trump's going to drop the hammer on him, dude. It's going to be ridiculous.
This is what's going to happen. The universities are not going to allow it in the future because there's too much liability for them. They know that they're going to get mopped up. Listen, these public universities have been getting billions upon billions of dollars for decades now, and they have literally done nothing but push more propaganda. I mean, if you go to college for a specific major, you have to go through 2.5 years of bullshit classes just to get to your core classes, and all of those bullcrap classes are nothing but indoctrination. And they'll look you in the face and go, well, you need those classes so you be well-rounded. You're not getting an education, you're getting an indoctrination. It needs to be stopped. This is absolutely insane.
What do you predict is going to happen in the next 5 years? Like how
It's going to get bad.
how bad like, do you think there'll ever be a breaking point where things get better, like in our lifetime, or do you think it's just going to be a slow decline?
Well, here's the thing. We have a Second Amendment for a reason.
Mhm.
If everybody went and got a CCW and was packing heat everywhere they went, it would be a lot harder for these crazies to get away with what they're doing. Because unlike other countries in Europe and other countries in the Asia that took away gun rights, we have the ability to self-correct by ourselves at the citizen level. In China, they're all disarmed and they rounded up the Uyghur Muslims and they're selling their organs right now on the open market. That is beyond evil. Look at England, the UK, and Ireland has been totally, infiltrated by immigrants who are
Oh,
running around raping and stabbing people.
It's so bad. I was there. It's so bad.
Yeah, and listen, if you had citizens that had the ability to defend themselves, a lot of this would self-correct.
But don't you think people feel like they can't defend themselves because they'll see people like Daniel Petty,
Yes.
and so it trains people to just not, or
Not
even that
respond.
that cop that they threw in jail and he got stabbed like a bajillion times.
22 times, yeah.
Yeah, and he was just doing his job.
Yes. I
Terrence,
know.
can you describe the culture of why something can happen and people will just like walk right past a person in public, like on a metro, or because there was a time where people would jump in and help, but those days are over.
All right, here's the thing. Okay, if you look back,
How did we get here?
if you look back into the early 1900s when the communists, the Bolsheviks, whatever you want to call them, came into power, they released the criminals. They went easy on the violent criminals, and then they cracked the whip and went after their opponents or people who were against them. And we're seeing the fruit of that same ideology taking place right now. And a lot of people don't want to get crushed by the government and thrown in prison for doing the right thing. And we have to figure a way of reversing that so the average person will get on their feet and go, this is wrong. This is not going to take place in my presence.
Yep, because I try to explain to people why someone would just keep on walking even if they saw a woman in distress. Most people, especially in a major city, you just keep on walking by. You remember that story where the guy pulled that lady out of the lake or out of the ocean and gave her CPR?
And she sued him.
And she sued him?
Oh,
Yeah.
Terrence, do you think that woman would have had a chance at surviving if someone stepped in? Because there was speculation that because I think 90 seconds, everyone just like watched her die.
I watched that video.
And it didn't like spew out. I'm not a
No.
medical expert. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, I watched the video, and the first time he stabbed her, she had a good chance of surviving, but nobody else intervened, and it became the damage became too catastrophic. There's really nothing you could do for her.
Okay, so, well, yeah, you're not going to intervene. I just meant if they didn't let her bleed out, there was speculation that she could have survived, and you're saying that's not true.
I mean, I'm not.
I'm just asking your opinion. I understand.
Yeah, you would have to have a combat medic right there,
okay,
and literally applying first aid within 60 seconds of these wounds being applied to her or inflicted upon her for that to happen.
Okay, so it would have had to have literally been like a doctor. That would have been her only shot.
Or a medic, a medic who can treat combat or trauma wounds. I mean, those guys are pretty good, and I mean, I've seen medics open up their aid bags and literally, produce magic, and people survive when I'm like, I didn't think they would.
I mean, it's just, like when I watched her face, like I understand why people don't intervene, but just like seeing her face, like I don't know if you hear.
It was absolutely heartbreaking because I have a daughter that age. I don't know what would happen if something like that happened to one of my children. I would literally go berserk.
Like this was her face right before she got stabbed.
Yeah, it's just heartbreaking.
And you know what, guys? I can say this. I am black. I don't blame people for for walking across the street when they see a crazy looking black dude. Keep doing it. I'm dead serious. I do it, and I'm black.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, there's a reason. People try to hate stereotypes, but stereotypes are somewhat limited and are grounded in truth a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Guys, you have to err on the side of caution.
TJ says they want a civil war. The girl in the subway in Kirk. This was 100% inside job. Where are all the camera angles? This should be on camera somewhere.
I don't know if they want a civil war, but you know, typically this is how they begin. There's a lot of turmoil, score settling, and then once the violence gets to a certain level, people start, forming up into groups, and then those groups turn into larger fighting forces, and then it literally gets very dynamic from there.
Why don't white people galvanize the same way other groups do? Like, there's no like white.
That's a good question.
You know what I
but
mean?
it's-
Like
I know.
like why don't white people protesting like? When
Well,
this
here's the
bullshit
thing
happens? Go ahead.
when it comes to the Caucasians. We almost destroyed the earth several times. We've burned entire fucking,
Mhm.
cities and countries to the goddamn ground. And once you get us to that level, it's going to be very, very bad.
Yeah.
And I think that the media, because when you look at a lot of these crimes, you have individuals of, a different ethnic persuasion committing these crimes, and then they're reported on the news as white person did it. Now, can you imagine what the news would be doing if that was a young black woman on the train getting stabbed by a white guy like that?
Yeah, of course.
It would go nuclear.
Insane.
That's
Whenever
why.
it's they
Even
do their best to leave the actual identifiers off when it's the other way around.
even that guy that got slammed in the ground and he killed that white guy in the boxing match. That famous wrestler.
Yes, yeah. Well, he's not famous. He was I know who you're talking
Yeah,
about.
but whatever. I don't know. But
Raja Jackson.
I mean, how is he not in jail?
I know.
I don't understand. I'm like, he did that in front of everybody.
Yes.
And
I
he's
have no idea.
on video, and he's walking free. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
I mean,
the guy
he
didn't die
said-
though.
No, he did die. They brought him back to life.
Okay.
He flatlined, and then they resuscitated him.
Yeah, he went to he went to the lobby for a little bit and came back.
Yeah, I mean, I think that still counts as killing. Like he killed him, and they brought him back. I mean, that's pretty bad. We have to
he's an
do
idiot, that guy.
with Charlie and the Ukraine refuge what they did with George Floyd. At least our victims are real and not criminals.
100% true, guys. I'll say this: my community, black community, we choose the absolute worst people to idolize, man. The worst. It's awful. Since since the 70s, it's
Here's the
just been
thing.
like L after L after L when it comes to who we idolize.
Now, I said this on my show last night. When you boil it down, it's not really a racial thing. It's a fatherless home thing. Because from 1960 and before, when the black community had mothers and fathers in the house, you didn't see shit like this. There wasn't all of this rampaging, crazy, criminal craziness going on. But now we do. And you're starting to see it in the white community as well. And once that happens to a certain degree, it's unrecoverable and it's going to be mayhem.
Yep. There's a
let's
super chat.
let me see. Pearl, look up Cash Patel's feed. It looks like they got someone 45 minutes ago or so, not the old man. Yeah, we read it earlier. They said they took someone into custody. I want to watch this deranged white woman. Look at this. Okay.
Yep.
And then we all ran.
Oh, it's
Can you describe?
Hold on. There we go.
Basically, I heard a loud bang, which I figured a shot would be a little bit louder, but I just saw it hit him in the chest, and then all of a sudden just tons of blood gushing right out where his heart is, and then he fell over and slumped down, and everybody got down and was screaming, and then we all ran.
Yeah, he was hit on the left side right here. Right on
What?
the left. He was hit on the left side of the neck.
Yeah. Mhm.
Did he appear to be moving afterward, or what?
Not at all. I personally believe he was dead on impact.
Oh my goodness.
Basically,
No, he was not dead on impact. He probably went unconscious 5 to 10 seconds after he'd been hit. And if I think they're aiming for his head. You know, the middle of the head's right here. And if you that's 6 to 8 inches, and you account for windage, you're getting hit in the neck.
Someone tried to report that he was in stable condition at the hospital, and I
It
saw
probably-
that. There was no way, dude. I was like, that's
No,
bad.
you'd be surprised. They can stabilize a lot of people, but you know, the thing is, if he lost that much blood and they finally get him to the hospital and stabilize him, that takes 10 to 15 minutes. You're already, you know, pretty much brain dead by then. It only takes 4 minutes or without oxygen to your brain before your brain starts to die.
I'm gonna go to Alex Jones. It says
Radicalism does not.
this is why Alex Jones said why they killed Charlie Kirk. We'll see.
Political radicalism needs a catalyst. Political radicalism does not come out of peace, prosperity, rising wages, stable families, church attendance, and happy people. Happy people, grateful people do not get behind Vladimir Lenin, and they certainly don't get behind Chavez or Castro. That's right. People that own nothing, that feel like their property is diminishing, they don't have property, or their dollar is diminishing in value, they start to look for alternatives. And so the political project in front of us as conservatives should be, how do we actually de-radicalize the country in the next couple of years? That's my obsession. And that's why I say I try not to think about all this other stuff, because it just, it's so much brain space. My number one obsession is I know what.
It's just so sad because he had such a future ahead of him. Like,
Yep.
it's so weird to like watch somebody. I've done interviews like that a million times, like, and it's just weird to watch someone like die. I don't know, doing a similar to debate that I've done before, and it's just, I don't know, it's just crazy. Like, it's so weird.
Well, what you're feeling now is the shock of reality, because that's what war looks like. And it's not the movies. You're not seeing it on a two-dimensional screen. You saw it happen in real time. You saw the blood, and you saw that man basically get slain. And it's not pretty. It is vicious, and it'll stay with you for the rest of your days.
Rooftop access at universities are controlled and not open to students due to liability. I believe this is coordinated. Probably won't catch the shooter.
That's a very high likelihood.
You go to the private chat and click the last link there. They did a compilation of Charlie like right before the event. He was upbeat, high-fiving people. Everyone was happy he was there. Ugh.
At least it doesn't seem like he was conscious, like, at least, because I think the girl on the train, it was even more horrific because she was conscious and alive, like she saw what had happened, where him, it seemed like it was quick and he didn't really know.
No, he knew what was up.
What?
He knew what was up.
Oh, really? You think he knew? It seemed like he died on impact, or like, no, you don't think so?
No, he bled out. He went unconscious 5 to 10 seconds after he was hit. Now, if he went totally limp and fell off the chair like a rag doll, I would agree with you, but he didn't.
Oh, dang, that's sad.
So the shooter is up on one of those buildings right to the front.
And the thing about it is this is Utah Valley University, so Utah's conservative. Most of the student body is conservative, which is why he got such a reception. You think that like this would happen maybe at like a USC or I don't know, some kind of liberal university or something, but a place like Utah Valley University, I never would have believed it would have happened. A place like this.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm going to be honest. A lot of people don't think it'll ever happen to them. And a lot of people, if you're going to set up an ambush, you do it when they least expect it or wherever they're highly visible. He was highly visible. And
Bo-
that's just the way it goes.
Bottom line is this: if you engage in political war, you must be prepared. They tried to kill Trump. Why wouldn't they try with you?
He's not wrong. That is correct.
No more being polite. Push back by making them socially unacceptable. Call out their acts. Normals will bend to pressure.
That's right. You make them famous, and you know, can't cancel them like they can't. Now, I'm not calling for any violence. Okay, let's just be. I'm 100% on board with no violence. But they spent a decade canceling us. I mean, I've been kicked off Twitter. I've been kicked off Facebook. PayPal suspended my stuff for no reason. My producer and his wife were kicked off PayPal and Venmo in 2021. It's time we start canceling them.
But what can you really do? All the media companies, like
Well,
do you know what I mean? Like I got kicked off too. I mean, I was demonetized for over a year.
Well, the thing is
mean-
I think Charlie Kirk's death is going to basically motivate the right to start taking more aggressive action. And the mainstream media, in my opinion, the FCC should pull their licenses and put them out of business overnight. Done. And
Yeah, that's like Terrence. Have you seen they with Homeland Security? They have the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Administration (CISA), and Doge wiped that entire um, part of Homeland Security out because they were coming down on right wing sites.
Yes.
All those different people. Yeah, so they cleaned that whole place out.
Good.
Jared said it hit his chest, bounced up from armor plate. I don't think so, but I'll read the super chat.
I mean, he was not, if you go back and you show him again throwing out the hats, he was not wearing body armor. I wasn't able to see it. I mean, a body armor to stop a bullet is pretty bulky. I mean, a rifle bullet, not a pistol bullet.
I'm surprised at those events they don't wear like body protection.
I would.
They will now.
I'd be wearing a vest if I was getting up in front of people. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like when I was in London, I would go out with like controversial signs and a tripod. And I never like thought about somebody stabbing or shooting. Like, not that, it's not the same thing, obviously, but it's just weird. Like, this is going to change the way everyone does content.
It is.
Everybody. Like you used to go out with a tripod and I was never even really worried, and I was in downtown London. Maybe I should have been, I don't know, but
well, yeah, I mean, I saw some of those videos of you doing that stuff and I was like, hey, she's going to get hurt. It's not wise.
Yeah, I mean, I never
And
did, but
I just don't understand
Shame,
what
shame,
someone
shame.
can.
Okay, well, all right, go ahead.
What kind of words someone can say, especially in the political sphere, that can motivate you to want to take somebody out like that. I just don't get it.
Well, no, I understand, but the thing is they're literally in a cult. They've progressed so much into this cult, you cannot reason with them with logic, and you can't. They don't understand logic. They're stuck in their own little hate bubble. I mean, I literally had to quit talking to about 60% of my friends that I had, before all of this craziness kicked off, because they're liberal, and I literally spent months showing them the links, talking to them, trying to explain to them that their viewpoint was completely illogical, and they just like, no. And I'm like, you know what? I'm done. Pound sand.
That happened to me too. I had a best friend of 20 years that stopped being my friend, and it was over the dumbest thing too. And the thing is, conservatives, I can put it aside. Like one of my best friends, I mean, he's a vegan activist. Yeah, I mean, I don't really get it, but I think he has a right to his opinion. Do you know what I mean? That's his opinion. And we can kind of put it aside, but like liberals, he can, but in general, they literally can't. FC, this was not about marksmanship alone. Normally trained shooters aim for the body, but here the choice of the head as a target carried symbolic weight. It was meant for shock value as to if to strike at his mind and ideas. Undershirt, steel plate, 1/4 inch thick, level 3 out of 3.
No, it's a 3+.
Oh.
Yeah. But, a 1/4 inch thick steel plate is pretty heavy, and you would see it.
So-
Then I'm going to also show this video in a second. Let's see. Laura Loomer says, disgusting during the TMZ live stream today. Employees at TMZ can be heard cheering 30 seconds before Charlie Kirk's death was announced on the live stream. They were happy to hear of the news of Charlie Kirk's death and can be heard clapping and cheering before passing the news to Harvey Levin, who is hosting the stream. Harvey Levin needs to condemn this. I have clipped the live before they try to delete it. Shameful and disgusting behavior. Like, I just can't imagine, like, if Hassan Piker, even people that have done videos on me that I cannot stand, I would not want to see them dead.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. TMZ, they could be shut down. You can't have if all of these employees are cheering for stuff like this. What do you think they're doing? They're literally pushing their propaganda and their cult ideas on the media or the people out there. They need to be shut down, in my opinion. I'm serious. We need to make them famous and cancel them. We do not need them in the public sphere anymore if that's how they're going to be. I'm sorry.
Space and McGee says, now it's definitely time to launch the long-awaited Pops Preppers. Okay.
Yeah, I have a prepper group. I give out ideas, stuff like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hereafter says, talking about Irina, follow the law, work hard, do everything right, and still gets killed and enabled repeat offender is the promise we make to immigrants who do everything correctly. Give us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses indeed. Sorry, did you have a comment?
Yeah, in my opinion, we should shut down all immigration until we've dealt with what we already have.
I agree.
There should be no additional people added to this country until we get rid of the illegal aliens.
I agree, except for big booty Latinas. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Well, I do. I mean, I have a soft spot for Latina women. They get a little stabby, but other than that, they're hot, and
Yeah,
it is what it is.
I mean, I'm just trying to help you guys out. It's rough over here.
Bro, you want to talk about repeat offenders? Did you see that story in Chicago where that girl got punched in the face? The guy was arrested over 20 times for punching women and kids in the face, and they kept letting him back up. I put the clip in the live chat at the bottom.
Hold on, I want to get through the super chat.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I apologize.
Okay, that's all right. Don't need for the government or corporations shun they, them, their supporters at churches, schools, local communities. Once unpopular, they will be isolated and lose all power. I just don't see that happening because the women are so liberal and they have such a big voting block. But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. He is the proof that left aren't right in the head. They are so backwards, they will probably make a joke about it.
Yeah.
They already have.
Yeah, look, I don't know. This whole thing, I mean, I knew it was coming. I'm just shocked that it's here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I knew that at some point we're going to have two-way rifle range 2.0. And it looks like it's getting spun up right now. Unless we can radically or somehow we can course correct, that's probably where this is going.
What do you mean by that? Like, what does that look like in day to day? Because my dad, I'm just gonna lay it out, and then my dad, he's not on social media, so I tell him about a lot of this stuff, and because we're an hour from the city, he doesn't understand what I'm talking about. Like if I said, "Hey Dad, there's going to be like a civil war, this," he might say, "Yeah, on the news or whatever," but that's not going to happen here. Do you think he's right? Like, what does that look like day to day? Go ahead.
Well, it starts off. It's already started, to be honest with you. You're seeing it with the propaganda, which is pushing the useful idiots That's what I call them, and that's what they're referred to as, in the communist system. They overthrow countries with useful idiots. They come into power, and then the useful idiots get executed. I mean, the same thing happens over and over and over again. And what we're seeing here is a population of useful idiots who have been educated poorly, who are being fed poison via the media, and the government, basically destroyed the economy and shipped all the jobs overseas over the past 20 years. And there you go. We have a whole generation of people who are, in my opinion, useful idiots that have been engineered to overthrow the government, either directly, indirectly, through instability or organized, violence.
So, but do you think that's going to be like you're afraid to go to the store? You might get shot.
Yes.
You think it's going to get that bad in
It-
America?
well, here's the thing: is
Mhm.
if you live near one of these major blue cities, which I do, I mean, I think about that all the time.
Really?
hmm
Because I'm not really worried if I go to most stores. I don't really perceive it's that bad at this point. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but maybe
And, and also,
London, I would say in London, maybe. But yeah, go ahead.
there's a lot of stuff that goes on that the mainstream media does not report,
hmm
or it's underreported.
hmm
That's why they need to go, because they've been bought and paid for. And this is strictly my opinion.
That's fine.
But yeah, in my opinion, they've been bought and paid for, and they're pitching nothing but propaganda. Even Hollywood has been doing it, and they're getting punished in the box office now because people are waking up to their craziness. But it needs to be. It needs to be addressed.
I'd say enact marital law for a year to stabilize and expedite everything. Law-abiding citizens would have nothing to worry about. What's marital law?
It's martial law.
Oh, I read that wrong.
Martial law is usually not a good thing. That's reserved for really bad situations,
Mhm.
like if there's a citywide riot and they declare martial law and they put up curfews and you can't do certain things. If you get caught looting, more than likely they'll shoot you. I mean, it's pretty egregious. So I don't know if that's the answer right now or not. I'm not a politician, but I've seen martial law, and that's how it works.
How do you think that the Trump administration is going to respond?
Oh, wow. Well, right now, Trump is probably calling all of his individuals into one room to talk about strategies of what they need to do. And I can almost guarantee you, pulling the licenses from the mainstream media is probably going to be on the table.
What does pulling the licenses do?
Well, you just can't broadcast anymore. You're done. If you're a mainstream media outlet like ABC, they lose their license. They can no longer broadcast over the airwaves. They're effectively shut down. If all they're going to do is spew poison and hatred and foment this craziness that's going on, shut them down.
Okay, here's what TMZ said. Speaking of which, let's see.
If he's still on the loose because they want to find him. So I would think that that's one of the main reasons they're holding this news conference. So my guess is we're going to see an image of this guy possibly in the next 20 minutes. The news conference is scheduled for 3 o'clock in Utah time, which is 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Eastern. Janet, go.
You hear him cheering?
Go to
what the
have somebody look at
what the fuck is wrong with people?
Yep.
Are you kidding? Like I have no words.
Listen, I mean, it's going to get to the point where you're just going to have to shut them down. That's just how it is. And they can fight it out in the courts after the fact.
Yeah, because I mean, if you think about this, the catalyst to the National Guard in D.C. was that Doge employee getting beat up. So what's going to happen when Charlie Kirk? This happened to Charlie Kirk. So I want to see the response because I want Trump to do something. He needs to send a message. That this is
Who's the
not
guy
okay.
with the tie? He looks
I
familiar.
was about to introduce him. Andrew from Law of Self-Defense. Welcome to the show. Thanks for
Mr.
coming on.
Self-Defense. How
The
you
whole
doing?
world doesn't know me already.
Nice to meet you. I'm Terrence Pop from darklist.com. I do comedy to stop suicide.
Okay, sounds awesome. Nice to meet you, man.
Um,
First of all,
Yeah,
my
go ahead.
condolences to Charlie Kirk's family, his wife, and his kids. That's the first thing I have to say. The second thing I have to say that the only appropriate response to this terroristic assassination is war. War. We allow these people to operate as a matter of choice, as a matter of public policy. This doesn't have to happen. Antifa does not have to exist. These terrorist attackers do not need to be free to operate. We could stop all of it in 6 months as a pure exercise of political will. When the federal government wanted to wipe out the KKK, what did they do? They made it happen. When they wanted to wipe out the mafia, what did they do? They made it happen. When they wanted to go after the 9/11 terrorists, what did they do? They invaded entire nations to make that happen. If we don't obliterate these domestic terrorists, it's only because we lack the political will to do it. And that's not the President Trump I know.
I couldn't agree more. I could not
Right.
agree more.
What do you think has stopped them from doing that? Like up to this point, why do you think it hasn't happened yet?
You don't want to trigger this kind of thing by seeming like you're heavy-handed.
Mm-hmm.
I think this kind of stuff has been happening all along. I mean, they tried to kill Trump himself.
Yeah.
Right? It's a miracle that he's still alive. So it's, in a way, for someone like me, it feels like living in the Matrix. It's like being Neo. I'm Neo. I took the red pill years ago on this political stuff. I see what the left is. The left has always been the party of political assassination. All of you are too young to know this, but in the 70s, America was overwhelmed with bombing attacks by the left. They were bombing banks. They were bombing train stations. If you left a suitcase unattended for 30 seconds, a bomb squad would show up. That's how terrifying it was. They're just going back to what they've always done. The terroristic attacks are always from the left, and they always project what it is they're doing. They talk about punch a Nazi. They talk about how Trump's a dictator, how we can't have no kings. But when it comes to the terroristic assertion of power and authority, it is always from the left.
Yeah, it's crazy how before they were saying that Trump was yeah, that's so true. But they're the party of violence. It's not us.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, how many cities, this poor woman who got killed on the train in North Carolina, did a bunch of white people burn down a bunch of city centers all over America, like the Antifa and BLM crowd did when a drug addict, lifelong criminal, George Floyd, died because he ingested a bunch of fentanyl when he was subject to arrest? You don't see that happening.
But the thing with George Floyd is you had the mainstream media take that one little video clip and made it go viral and enraged everyone. That's why
Well, it's the same side.
Yeah,
when
the
I talk about the
mainstream
leftist
media,
terrorists, I'm including the mainstream media.
Yeah,
They're just a propaganda arm.
and they need to be shut down. The FCC should pull their licenses. We don't need that. That's just my opinion, of course.
We have the means, the government has the means to monitor every cell phone conversation anywhere in the world. They can know who these people are. They can know where they get their funding from. They can know all of this if they want to.
They already
just
do.
have to want to.
Yeah. Like they already do. I mean,
look at how they treated the January 6th protesters, right?
Yeah.
Can we at least have the same degree of energy targeted at these leftist domestic terrorists as they targeted at grandfathers and grandmothers who walked through the Capitol building to protest the stolen election? Would that be too much to ask?
Yeah,
Putting that same energy behind after people who actually execute, commit assassinations?
Yeah, I mean, I was in D.C. for January 6th, and I literally came back to Michigan, and then I had to go talk to FBI people. They knew exactly who I was by my cell phone and what have you. So they can easily go to the local cell companies, get the records of all the cell phones in the area, and then start sifting through it. That's what they do.
I wanna ask a self-defense question. Did you see that story where the woman got punched in the face in Chicago, right? And this guy was let out 20 times. He's been arrested multiple times for punching women and children in the face. And how does that happen? How does someone commit multiple crimes like that, violent crimes in the same area, and keep getting let out over and over and over again?
Yep.
Well, it's because we don't have a cohesive American society anymore. We don't have a cohesive culture where we accept the same kind of worldviews and premises of behavior and legal process. We've become a balkanized nation. I can tell you, as an attorney who's been practicing for 34 years, for example, black jurors treat black defendants very differently than they treat white defendants. And this has been statistically analyzed. People are making decisions based purely on tribal association. And you cannot have a cohesive nation like that. Diversity is not our strength. Diversity is our demise. There has never been a successful nation over the long term that was not relatively homogenous. A nation can accept small numbers of immigrants, for example, if those immigrants are put through a process of rigorous assimilation. But you can't bring in 30%, 40% of the population from completely different cultures and have anything like a functioning society. And unfortunately in America, thanks to Barack Obama, before Barack, race relationships in America were pretty good. But because of Barack, now we've done the equivalent of that on a domestic level where the black community feels completely disconnected from the white community. They may as well be a different nation. Not all black people, of course, but I'm talking about places like the urban black centers where we have these clerks, we have these judges, we have these magistrates who can look at a known bad actor like this, a guy who's done prison sentences for violent crime, gets arrested 14 times by the cops for violent crimes, and gets kicked loose every single time. And the only way to change that, well, it's almost impossible because most of this law enforcement is done at the local level. The courts are run at the local level. The local community is nominating, appointing, and electing these people to these positions of authority to do this.
And the crazy part about it is because I would argue it's bad here, but Europe's even worse because we have an ocean separating us from the sandbox. And Europe had
no, we don't.
the migration.
We fly these people in on jumbo jets into America. We fly them in by the hundreds of thousands and the millions. There is no separation anymore. That's the big difference, by the way, between the kind of immigration practices we have today and the kind we had. Like my family immigrated to America from Italy. A lot of people, their family came to America from Ireland, a lot of people from Germany. But in those days, when you came to America, first of all, America sharply limited. Those people came with approval. They were not invaders. And when they got to America, they were subject to a very rigorous government-mandated process of assimilation. And they were completely disconnected from home. It was not easy in 1920 to go back to Sicily or go back to Ireland. You were in America for the long haul. That was it. That world doesn't exist anymore. All these Middle Eastern students that get over here on student visas, go to our universities and march in protest and hate against America. These are all from rich Arab families. They go back home anytime they want. How many of these people who were here on because they're saying, oh, it's too dangerous for me in my home nation. It's too dangerous for me in Somalia. So that's why I'm asking for succor and safety in America. They all go on vacation to Somalia. They all go back to visit their family. How dangerous can it actually be? So just modern transport has completely changed the dynamic nature of immigration from what it was when we put up the Statue of Liberty and we said, send us your poor and your weak and those needing protection.
The tall giving tree says enough is enough. We have bigger things to deal with, really. We are fighting each other. Bricks is not the real challenge. Seriously, come on, y'all. What do you guys think of that?
Well,
Bricks is the real,
Bricks is a real
immigration is
problem.
the real challenge.
Well, the thing
But
is,
that doesn't mean we just have to be, you know, of course, if we don't save America from immigration, there's nothing to save. So immigration has to be the number one issue.
but
as far as I'm
Bricks-
concerned, 40% of the American population right now are third world migrants.
Yes, you're
I-
right. Bricks is a problem, though. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, they have nuclear weapons.
Yeah. So I have a question, Andrew. What did you think about the incident of the girl on the train getting stabbed? Did you think that the people that like watched her bleed out, that was smart for them? Because
All right.
like they could have hypothetically been charged with something. I was just curious what your take on the video was.
All right, so this is going to be an unpopular opinion because I know it'll be unpopular because I haven't seen people say it before. But here's the reality about knife attacks. Most people who are stabbed with a knife do not know they've been stabbed. It feels to them just like a punch. So for this poor woman who was fatally stabbed the first time that knife went into her neck, she was done. If she could be instantly transported to a surgical room, it wouldn't have saved her. So she was done, but she may not have known she was fatally stabbed because it would have felt like she got punched in the neck by some wacko, and now he's walking away and everything will be fine as long as nothing else happens. She doesn't know she's mortally wounded. And probably the other people on that train did not know she was mortally wounded. So they probably thought she got punched in the neck by some wacko and now it's over and why cause more fuss? And you can see it in the victim's eyes. I mean, she's there crying, she's sobbing, and then her blood pressure drops, and then she dies, of course, in the seat. But it's possible, at least until you begin to see all the blood on the floor. By that point, obviously, you know, a serious bodily injury has occurred. But in the moments after she's stabbed, it's quite possible people didn't know she was stabbed.
That's a really interesting take. I've never heard that one.
I disagree with the fact.
I'm going to read the super chat really, really quick, and then you can go. This is Liberal Cope. It goes back before LBJ, forced desegregation, civil rights, Hart Seller Act. The boomer truth regime must end for our survival. Okay, go ahead, Terrence.
I disagree with the fact that the woman on the train, you know, if there was somebody there that could have applied medical care, and if she was only stabbed one time, but she was stabbed multiple times, and then the damage became just too much. But the thing is nobody stepped out. Everyone just looked away like the guy didn't exist and just allowed him to do what he did. I mean, that's bad. But on the, you know, in today's world, especially in the past 10 years, if you try to be the hero, it's going to cost you $1 million.
There you go.
Or you're going to prison.
Yep.
Right. So that's a different. Let's pretend it's a scenario where it was obvious he was about to stab her, so everyone knew. And then the question is, well, knowing that for sure, it's incontestable. Should they intervene? Well, we see what happens, right? With George Zimmerman, with Kyle Rittenhouse, with Daniel Penny, you intervene. And then that dummy you're intervening against, who's making credible threats of death against people on the subway car, in the case of Daniel Penny, everybody in that subway car thought they were going to die. This lunatic was going to kill them, that Daniel Penny took to the ground. And the state still prosecuted him. And he ended up getting convicted. But I don't care what the facts and law are. There's noise in the criminal justice system. I tell every client I work with, if I have to put you in front of a jury, there's a 20% chance at least that you get convicted, and you could be the most innocent client I've ever had in my life. And they put you through that peril for political purposes. For these prosecutors, it's a win-win. There's no downside for them for prosecuting lawful defenders. Either they get lucky and they get one of those 20% convictions, and then they get to pretend like, well, they knew it all along. Of course, this guy was guilty. We got a guilty verdict out of the jury. But even if they're acquitted, like Zimmerman was acquitted, and Rittenhouse was acquitted, and Daniel Penny was acquitted, they still get the political capital of having fought for their tribe. Look, I fought the good fight. And then when they don't want to be a DA anymore, when they want to run for mayor or run for governor or run for senator, they've built up this political capital with their tribe. So there's no downside. Prosecutors don't suffer any penalty for unjustly prosecuting lawful defenders.
Yes, and that needs to be corrected.
And how the hell did that judge get into the position where she was letting like that guy off after 15 times?
She's not a judge. She's not even a lawyer.
Yep.
She's a magistrate judge. So a magistrate judge is like just take a judge and hit him in the head with a bat and make him retarded. That's what a magistrate judge is. All right? A magistrate judge is like someone you would put in charge of traffic court. All right? Someone has a parking
child
ticket.
support. Child support. I had to go in front of a magistrate every time I had to go to child support court.
And
it's like
I'll
a
just say
dummy
this.
judge. So they decide things like bail. They do the stuff that's not a full-blown trial. And in many jurisdictions, guess what? Unfortunately, it's often hard to find people of certain demographics who are qualified for these positions because they don't have a law degree, they didn't pass the bar, they didn't go to college. So they lower the standards so they can meet their DEI diversity goals. This woman who is the magistrate here, she went to law school. She went to the Cooley Law School, which is statistically, by every measure, the single worst law school in the country. It is a law school diploma mill. You go there, you do nothing, you pay them enough money, they give you a law degree. And how do I know she doesn't actually know what she's doing in the law? Because she never passed the bar. She never took the bar exam and passed it. She's not a lawyer. She's just someone with a law degree, which is a very different thing. And she certainly was never an actual judge. By the way, she also ran apparently a treatment center for people who were diverted from prosecution, where she got paid money from the state to help drug addiction, mental health crises. So she was actually feeding her own business on the side by taking these defendants, not locking them up, instead saying, tell you what, instead of locking you up, why don't you enroll in my mental health clinic?
Yeah, mental health services, exactly. Yeah.
And the judges get immunity, right? That's what you said when you were on my show. So they can't
Judges
be like
have immunity for official actions, right? So you can't sue them.
Political attackers are all emotionally frail. Talking heads, L&R don't win with grace. They get more clicks by dumping on people. The smugness of Charlie, Ben, Hassan, and Destiny make them all believable targets. So I was asking earlier if anybody thought, like, who they thought who the next target would be if this is going to happen again. So that's what I think that person is referring to.
Yeah, it's usually a target of opportunity, and if they're showing their face in public, and they do it on the regular, and especially if they have a schedule and they let the population know, hey, in 2 months I'm going to be talking here. They have 2 months to go, oh, he's going to be here on this day. Let's case it. Let's look for target shooting points, cover and concealment, egress and egress routes, just, distractions, what have you. I mean,
the hardest part of carrying out this kind of assassination is just knowing where the person's going to be at any particular time.
Correct.
And if they're at a public event, you know that. It's just not that hard to kill people if you really want to. I'm a nobody, but I do occasional public events, and I turn a lot of them down because I'm like, well, you're going to have any security there? I carry a gun for personal protection, but I don't want to have to shoot somebody. I don't want to be in a place where some lunatic who's mad at something I said on the internet is going to show up with a weapon and try to hurt me. Yeah. I get recognized in public sometimes, and I'm like, are you Andrew Branca? I'm like, who wants to know?
Yeah, sometimes I say no if I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I'm not.
One of the worst places to do a speaking event is a public university, man.
Yep.
It's like like Terrence said at the beginning of the show, you can't secure that place. You just can't do it. It's not possible.
I get invited to a lot of places where, although I'm normally legally permitted to carry a gun, I can't carry there. People want me to be at appearances at bars, at colleges, where I have to be unarmed, but obviously the assassin doesn't care about the gun control laws. I mean, obviously that's impossible. And of course, this is going to change. You think Tim Pool's not thinking about this? You think Ben Shapiro's not thinking about this? How do they do public appearances now?
Oh, I mean, I'm thinking about that. I'm not doing street interviews I was literally about to do street interviews, and I'm like, nope, not today.
How do you think things are going to change going forward, Franca?
How's it going to change for what? I mean, if the left is not held accountable, we're going to see a lot more assassinations. I can tell you that much.
what is the most visible and tangible way, like immediate response? Because if this happens again, like the hammer that Trump is going to drop down on these public universities is going to be, so maybe they're going to take
No, there's
less.
no again. There's no again. There's no like, if this happens again, there'll be a serious response. That's bullshit. It's like having 3 strikes laws. Why is the first strike not enough? The first strike should be enough. The first time you murder someone or grape someone or commit an armed robbery with a weapon against somebody or do a home invasion, that ought to be a life sentence right there. Why are we giving you 3 freebies before we hold you accountable in that way? So there ought to be no next time something happens. It's happened. This is it. And this is the next time. They already tried to shoot Trump in the head with a rifle. This is the next time. The most effective thing Trump could do is to go after the money funding these organizations. You ever wonder how all these Antifa people, like the people who've been surrounding the ICE facility in Portland for months, keeping it under siege, they never seem to have to work. They don't have any jobs. How do they sustain themselves? They are all being provided with resources. This is a war like any other war. Amateurs talk about tactics. Professionals talk about logistics. Where are the logistics that allow these people to function the way they do? It's all the money. They have to go after the money. If they do that, it'll obliterate these organizations.
So from a self-defense perspective, what would you suggest for like YouTubers, public debaters, personalities? Like, what is the best way that people can protect themselves outside of maybe just obviously carrying? Go ahead.
Well, I mean, the problem is, and I say this as a guy who carries every day, it's very difficult to defend yourself from a planned ambush operation. I mean, I carry a gun, but if I'm walking down the street and someone walks up behind me and shoots me in the back of the head, my gun's not going to be very useful, right? Yeah. You need an opportunity to be able to respond to the threat. And that's carrying a gun is, I encourage it. I do it myself, but it's mostly useful for if you're like randomly targeted for some kind of event. If it's an organized assassination, Trump doesn't carry a gun, right? He has other resources around him to protect him from those kinds of attacks.
Now, what you're talking about in the military is called being caught on the X. The X is where the kill zone of the ambush is. And again, all they really need to know is where you're going to be, when you're going to be there, and they can figure it out from there. And
I'm not trying to say carrying a gun is pointless, because sometimes the assassin screws up, right? Maybe they pull out their gun, they shoot you in the back of the head, they have a malfunction, and you have a couple seconds to respond. Well, guns are not typically the solution to whatever problem you're facing, but when they are the solution, they're typically the only solution that'll work, like a fire extinguisher.
That's
awesome. That's a great thing. Holy crap.
Wow, that's totally 100% on right there.
See, Pete, Pearl, this is why you have me on.
I know.
for those pearls of wisdom, so to speak.
Pete says they're trying to instill fear in the right and some type of civil unrest. Let's see. There's another
we should have both those things. The right should be afraid. People are trying to kill you. Fear is the appropriate response. That's how you should feel about people trying to kill you. And then there should be a tactical and strategic response to eliminate that threat, to grab it by the throat and kill it.
What they're trying to do is produce so much fear, it paralyzes you. That's what they're trying to do. And do not allow that.
Look, really? there's only three options, paths to go through from here, right? Either we get an effective response and these organizations like Antifa and their funders are taken down. That's option number one. If that doesn't happen, the right has two choices left. The two choices are go kinetic themselves, grab their own guns, and go extrajudicial, just like the left is doing, or die. Die. Just let the left seize authority through terroristic means. Those are the three options. So either we're going to have a lawful option or a counter-terrorist option, or the right's going to be killed.
That's right.
Apparently a second here. There's another person they're speculating did it. A second suspect of Charlie Kirk's political assassination has been identified by Twitter users. And yes, it's transgender.
Of course it is.
I was talking to someone earlier today, and they said that it's never worth it going after LGBTQ people because there's just too many unstable people in that group. and they're such a small percentage of the population. It's just not a whole lot of upside. Charlie Kirk is coming to my college tomorrow, and I really hope someone evaporates him. Literally, let's just say something big will happen. I don't know if the people, though, if I would guess that somebody that was actually going to kill someone would put it on Twitter. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? I'd imagine that's probably not the person.
Well, if they're mentally unstable, anything is possible.
That's what I'm saying, man. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past them at all. Wouldn't put it past.
I mean, it's always tricky to take these random claims off the internet, right? Because anybody can claim anything.
Yeah.
They can predict someone's assassination every day of the year, and maybe eventually someday they're right. But that doesn't mean their predictions are reliable, right? It just, you do it enough, and sooner or later you're correct. It's like these guys who predict this guy was he predicted the last stock market collapse. Well, okay, but if he did that every day for 20 years, it's not telling you very much, right? His predictions are not reliable.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yep.
Well,
but there is a vigorous and effective response available here from the federal government. Again, when the feds wanted to take out the KKK, they obliterated the KKK. When they wanted to do that to the mafia, they obliterated the mafia. When they wanted to go after 9/11 terrorists, they figured out a way to do that, even if it took invading whole nations. So if this government, if Trump wants to enact a substantive response against these terroristic assassinations, he has the tools and means to do that. And I expect he will. I'll be very disappointed if something substantive doesn't happen very quickly. But it's all a matter of choice. It's just like with the DC, the crime-ridden national capital of America. Trump goes in with the National Guard, and in a period of 3 weeks, people who live in DC, their entire lives are like, oh my God, I can walk 5 blocks and not have to worry about getting robbed. It's all a matter of political will.
Why is the left trying to make this about gun control?
They always do.
They always do.
Come on, they would have shot him anyway.
Not new.
Go ahead, Doug MPA, sorry.
First off, I live in the DMV area, and let me tell you, you can see the change. And the people that have been living in DC for years, you can even go on TikTok. The only people complaining about the National Guard being in DC are people that didn't grow up there. But the people that grow up there are like, this is great. This is the safest I've ever seen it. And then also, I put in the private chat that they're honoring Charlie Kirk on the White House website, and it's actually pretty good.
Okay, let me read it.
Yep.
Let me pull it up. Share screen. Okay, it says honoring the memory of Charlie Kirk. As a mark of respect for the memory of Charlie Kirk by the authority vested in me as the President of the United States by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, I hereby order that the flag of the United States shall be flown at half-staff at the White House and upon all public buildings and grounds at all military posts and naval stations, and on all naval vessels of the federal government and in the District of Columbia throughout the United States and its territories and possessions until sunset, September 14th, 2025. I also direct that the flag shall be flown at half-staff for the same length of time at all United States embassies, legions, consular offices, and other facilities abroad, including all military facilities and naval vessels and stations. And witness, I have hereunto set my hand this 10th day of September in the year of our Lord 2025 and of independence of the United States of America, the 215th Donald Trump. Wow. Why do liberals keep telling us that crime is going down? Like, I was talking to my vegan activist and he was saying how it's an overreach to have the government send troops to Chicago. And I said, well, yeah, but crime's getting pretty bad. And he said, no, crime's down. And I'm like, there's no way it's down. I mean,
it's because they lie. So if progressives didn't have lies to tell, they wouldn't have anything to say at all.
I'm sorry to interrupt. There's a lot of these major blue cities that don't report their crime to the Uniform Crime
100%.
Report, which they're supposed to do every year.
He's right.
And they haven't.
Also, they downgrade offenses. So when you show up at a crime scene, if one guy points a gun at another guy, that's aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. That's a very serious felony. In most states, it's good for 10 to 20 years in prison. But if no one's actually shot, it's still the crime. But then the local captain shows up and says, listen, we don't want these serious felonies in our records. So it's bad for the stats. So why don't we just call it a misdemeanor simple battery instead? That all happens right on the scene. So all the felonies suddenly go away. They're all reclassified as misdemeanors. This is how bad it's gotten. Police departments, especially in urban centers, have been doing this kind of down regulation of offenses for decades. But a truism was always, well, they can't lie about the homicide rates because there's a dead body. And you can't just do away with the dead body.
Yeah.
You know what Washington, D.C. has been doing with their homicides?
No.
They show up and a guy's been shot 5 times, and you think, well, certainly they can't fake that record. They classify it as an accident. So it doesn't appear in the homicide statistics.
Oh.
Yep.
How does that happen? How did they not get in trouble for doing that?
Because who's going to look? The entire governmental
Oh.
apparatus is nothing but the same left-wingers.
Yeah, and they all cover for each other. You can't go after judges. You can't go after prosecutors. I mean, what are you going to do? This qualified immunity and all this shit there needs to be a mechanism in place to fix this.
This is why Trump took over law enforcement in D.C. because the existing D.C. apparatus was so thoroughly corrupt. You know that most of the guns seized by the Metropolitan Police Department in Washington, D.C., taken off of criminals who are unlawfully in possession of those guns, most of those guns go into lockup at the police department, and then they end up back on the street and get seized again. The cops are reselling the seized guns back to the bad guys on the street.
Yep.
What the hell?
The Metropolitan Police Department of Washington, D.C. is the biggest gun store in Washington, D.C. They just only sell guns to bad guys.
That is messed up, bro. That's messed up. But that's really the only explanation you can give, because the reality on the ground is the reality on the ground.
Do you know what? That's what I was explaining to my liberal friend the other day, that nobody can convince me of things that I like, because obviously I work in media. You have to use stats at times, but your eyes are going to tell you more than a stats can. So I'm like, if more people I know are having issues with crime, and I like when I was in London, I saw stores getting robbed all the time, and I never saw that in my life. I'm like, you can't convince me that crime is down just because you say it.
You go to every
also have
store
things-
and everything is locked up behind cabinets, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to tell me the stores are doing that because they like that? That's good for their business?
I'm going to use that next time.
Yeah.
You also have cases like that stupid mayor and her district attorney in Oakland. Oakland did like a 15-year push to get crime down through law enforcement. Then that one Asian chick got elected and put this B-dub in charge of the prosecutors, and they were literally just letting everybody out. Everybody. It got to the point where the business owners were said, "Look, we have to do." They recalled the mayor. They recalled the mayor and they recalled the district attorney.
I don't know. Mental illness isn't out for everything. Oh, that's true. They use that, right, to get people off mental illness.
Yep.
And anything that avoids accountability. All these people may as well be hoes, Pearl, to put it in your context. There is zero accountability. They always have an excuse. They always have an excuse. There was a case, I think this week was the 5-year anniversary, where a little white boy, 5 years old, he's playing in his front yard with his sisters, and he runs over into the neighbor's yard to get a ball or something that went over there. And the neighbor happens to be a black guy who's crazy, one of these, just like the guy who was on this train with this woman, and shoots that 5-year-old in the face and kills him. And then when he's asked about it, he says, well, the 5-year-old called me the N-word, like the universal no accountability excuse. Does anyone believe that happened? This little 5-year-old white kid called some big black guy the N-word? Even if he did, by the way, is that a justification for shooting him in the face?
No.
It's all accountability avoidance.
We covered that case on my show last night too. And that one never even made the mainstream media.
And it was a
barely
5-year-old. What city was that in?
I don't remember the details, but we searched for that little boy's name, and it really wasn't in mainstream media. They just don't report on that stuff. When it's a minority attacking a white person, it gets literally ignored. But if you reverse that, it goes viral and it's pushed everywhere.
Even with the George Floyd stuff, I remember I saw the Daniel like shaver or whatever, and I thought that footage was 10 times more horrific than maybe I'm saying his name wrong, but there was a white guy who was shot by police and he was
Yep.
like crawling. I do think they made the decision based on their training because he like went to pull his pants up. It was just kind of a sad situation. But like the media didn't cover it at all. And I thought that was way sadder than Floyd. Like this was just a young guy who was drunk in a hotel room. And like the media didn't talk about him at all.
So Pearl, for the story about the 5-year-old,
Yeah.
I just typed into Google, black man shoots 5-year-old white boy, and it popped right up. Murder of Cannon Hinnant,
Yeah.
2020.
I'll put it
From
in
Wilson, North Carolina.
the private chat because I just found it too.
And then after that, it says there was a man charged. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not sure. I'm seeing something on Twitter that the guy who shot Charlie was a Republican. I'm not sure if true though, but we'll see.
That's another way they lie. They
Yeah,
always say that.
I don't
the guy
trust.
who shot Trump was supposed to be a Republican too, right? Like we're supposed to believe these things. We're supposed to believe that the Republicans that want Trump dead.
Yeah, you're right. You guys are right.
But here's the thing:
This
is
why-
mainstream
this is why
media.
men are- This is why men are better than women. I'm like, yeah, maybe it was, and the guys are
Yeah,
like, no. God.
Mainstream media has been lying to us for decades, and it's really gone up since they got rid of the Smith-Mundt Act under Obama,
Mhm.
and it really
I
picked up.
tell you
after
one
that.
thing: Elon Musk saved America. He saved America by buying Twitter and turning it into X. If it wasn't for X, we would not be allowed to talk about any of this any more than we were allowed to talk about the stolen election or the COVID stuff. We would all be banned or shadow banned or otherwise downregulated. If it wasn't for Elon buying X, we would, you know, in the days after this poor woman was killed on the train, have you seen the X posts about it? Wall Street Journal, New York Times, all these, Washington Post, NPR, PBS, number of stories they wrote about this horrific killing on this train, zero coverage. And if it wasn't for the video that was on X, nobody would ever have covered it. And then when they do cover it, they say, well, you know, the real problem here is not the killing. The real problem is that right-wing people are talking about it.
What is wrong with
Yeah.
you?
Or you see that one lady tried to say that, oh yeah, blacks have gone through so much trauma that they have the right to do stuff like this. I was like, come on, man.
Doug, MPA, do you have trauma? It's like it doesn't give you the right to do. You know what I mean? It's like everybody.
What a joke.
Yeah, fuck you. Like, freaking A. Okay, Darius says 25-year-old Wilson man arrested in shooting, death of 5-year-old, police say. A 25-year-old man accused of shooting a 5-year-old who died in the hospital in Wilson on a Sunday night has been caught. The shooting happened around 5:30 p.m. in 5100 block of Archers Road. When officers got there, they found a 5-year-old Cannon Hinnant suffering from a gunshot wound. Officers and EMS immediately began performing life-saving efforts. Hinnant was taken to Wilson Medical Center, where the child later died. Wilson police identified the shooter as Darius Sessoms of Wilson. Police announced after 4:30 on Monday that he had been arrested and was in custody of Wilson Police Department officers and members of U.S. Marshals Carolina's Regional Fugitive Task Force.
I bet it was his first violent offense, right? He's never been on law enforcement radar before.
Charlene Wilbur, a neighbor of Cannon, had a smile on her face when she described the little boy. He would come over. Him and my husband would always talk back and forth, and he would ask my husband to put air in his tire. She said if he saw me on the porch with a popsicle, he would always come over and ask if he could have a popsicle. But what happened Sunday night might shock them so much they can't talk about it without choking up. We were eating dinner and we heard a bang. We knew it was a gunshot, so I told him to call 911 and I ran to the door. They heard the cries of Cannon's father saying his son was shot. Our neighbor saw it. She said the young man just walked up to the little boy who was sitting on a bike like he does every day. I don't understand why he did it. How can you go up to a little boy point blank, put a gun to his head and shoot him? How could anybody do that?
They are demons. These are demons.
Was this in a bad neighborhood or was this like a normal... Was, you know, I'm just curious what the crime rate was.
I mean, I hate to say it, but look at the guy.
Well, I know, but sometimes you'll see guys like that, and like I was in a pretty nice part of Uptown, and there was guys that looked just like him, even though it was a mostly like white area.
But here's the thing, though: is
Oh,
that
go.
guy?
Yeah.
That guy gets to shoot and kill a 5-year-old kid. Probably got life in prison without parole, and we as the taxpayers have to pay for his food, medical care, and housing for the rest of his life. We should bring back the death penalty. I'm sick of this bullshit.
And in terms of the neighborhood, I would just suggest, tell me if this makes sense to you. I would suggest that the single most controlling parameter measure for the entire American real estate market is people trying to avoid certain demographics in our society.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
100% true. And that's the thing about.
And by the way, Black people who secure resources do the same thing, right? They don't stay in that bad neighborhood.
Well, I was going to tell you.
Where do you live?
Right.
So I was going to tell you. So one of the biggest problems with the Black community is that we don't have enough class distinction. Like we don't have enough of our successful separating ourselves from our worst. Understand what I'm saying? And a lot of other races and cultures, the rich people stay away from the poor people for a reason. But as Black people, from the top to the bottom, we still embrace the aspects of the worst of us for some reason. I have no idea why. The more Black people who've secured resources, education, all these different things, need to separate ourselves culturally and our communities away from the worst of us, and we just won't do it, and I have no idea why.
This is another map of the shooter, and so Charlie was here, and then the shooter was there.
That was 140 meters, correct?
I believe that's what it said earlier.
It looks like it might be a little more. It's not more than 200 meters, and for a 5.56 platform, that's an easy shot. Anyone can make that.
It just blows my mind they didn't have people up here.
I know.
Well,
And
he's
like
not the president. He's just a guy who goes to colleges and debates.
And I can almost
if it
guarantee
was Trump, of course, they would have all the roofs covered. But Charlie just shows up to colleges and debates. He might bring a couple big guys with him to push people around if it comes to that. But he's not going to have any kind of in-depth armed security. That's just not a thing.
Yeah, and that guy on the roof was probably aiming center mass of his head. The bullet dropped 6 inches, a little bit of windage. He gets hit in the left side of the neck and bleeds out.
And
I can tell you from personal experience, I can take my 13-year-old daughter to the range with an AR rifle, and she can hit the head of a target all day long at 100 meters. It's just not that hard to do.
Not with that platform. It's very accurate.
So you guys think he was a civilian then?
Again, you really can't make a prediction of who it was because it's
the
not,
shooter.
Yeah, it's an easy shot. Anyone could do that.
Anyone can do it.
No, they haven't found the guy. Okay, because Kash Patel said the subject in custody has been released after an interrogation by law enforcement. Our investigation continues, and we will continue to release information in the interest of transparency. Okay, so they let the first guy go. I bet they proved he wasn't doing. That was 14 minutes ago. Holy shit. So the shooter's still on the loose. What if he goes on like a spree or something? Because I heard that's what, and I think you covered it, so maybe you would know, Andrew, but the guy that tried to shoot Nick, he was on like a killing spree, wasn't he? Like, didn't he shoot his mother and then he went to Nick F? I try not to say his full name because of YouTube.
Oh, I understand. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure who you were. I have friends called Nick. I was like,
sorry.
No, I understand that.
I just don't.
Yeah, I mean, that can happen. Someone they become obsessed with you and they just want to wipe everything about you off the face of the earth. That could definitely happen.
Yeah, and one of the ways you'll know this is a professional is if they never catch him. Because the professional who really knows what he's doing already has his egress routes planned, and he's long gone. It's going to be hard to catch him if he's a pro.
But there's so many cameras nowadays. Don't you think it's going to be harder to get away with things?
Oh, yes. Now? Yes, it is much more difficult, but it's not impossible.
Do you think that did you follow the Idaho murders at all?
I don't believe I did.
Okay.
The 4 college students?
Yeah, I was just curious if you thought if there weren't cameras and like phones and stuff, if he would have got away with it like 50 years ago or something.
Yeah, listen, I thought there was reasonable doubt in that case. Now, really? The guy ended up confessing. Yeah, that was not a rock solid case prosecution there. I mean, I'm thinking as a defense attorney now, I would have been comfortable defending that case based on the evidence that was made publicly available. Thankfully, the guy confessed, so we know for sure it was him because, I mean, he told us so. But if it had gone to trial and he'd had a vigorous, remember, the state has, if you confess, the state has no burden, right? But if you go to trial and you fight it, the state has to prove you guilty beyond any reasonable doubt.
Why did he confess then? Why would he do that?
It's hard to know. Sometimes most confessions, the person wants to tell you what happened. They want to tell you. Most interrogation techniques are just trying to position the person to get them to the point where they actually want to tell you what happened. We don't beat people with rubber hoses. Any confession we get has to be voluntary.
Dang. Okay. So,
just one last thing about the Idaho murders. We live in this desensitized society where we forget how much carnage men can perpetuate with just their hands. So when I see these women talking about how strong they are, they're as strong as women, they're as strong as men. They don't need, like, one guy can take out 4 college students, and how quick did he do it? It's like, it makes me laugh. It's a joke. The fact that so many people live in this delusion, and they forget that stuff like that it can happen, and they're living in houses where there aren't men there. They're not people coupled together, not families, and no protection, none of that. It's sad.
Rest peacefully, Charlie, and my heart goes to his wife and children. Second Amendment is for the right to carry and self-protection only. Weapons can do damage undoubtedly. People off people. Be kind, mother effers to each other.
Actually, the Second Amendment is a blanket. You have the right to defend yourself, and that could be against individuals or rogue government or whatever. That is why they put it there as the Second Amendment, because back during the colonial times, they were rebelling against Britain.
4% of the U.S. population are third world immigrants, not the 49% he claims.
Well, you know what? I think I'll prefer my estimates of how many third world migrants we have in the U.S. and not the estimates of someone whose first name is Taij. That traditional. Remember when he signed the Declaration of Independence? Taij. Remember when he signed the Constitution?
I was actually about to say all the Indians I see everywhere now. It's more than 4. I don't know what it is, but it's more than 4%. I can tell you that much because I was driving the other day on a road trip, and every other exit was like Indian food, Indian food, Indian food. I'm like, how many immigrants do we have here?
There's
the only reason why minivans are still a thing.
90 million legal migrants from the third world. There's 180 million third world migrants in America. And as Pearl says, all you have to do is use your damn eyes. Go to the IKEA on the weekend. Go to Costco on the weekend. You're not going to see all that many Americans anymore.
No, and I know it's bad because it's starting to hit my hometown. And my hometown is known for farmers. Like, it's like the son and daughters of farmers that were out here. And now I'm seeing like immigrants at Chipotle. I'm like, it has urbanized a lot, but even so, I'm like, it shouldn't be this much. Law Bro says we won't separate ourselves from our worst because the Black community is a matriarchy. A strong father-led Black community wouldn't defend the worst. What do you think about that?
I have to call on this because the data is, if you look back at the 1950s, where Black families were about as integrated as white families, right? Lyndon B. Johnson hadn't yet stepped in and paid all the Black women to throw their husbands and fathers out of the house. The intact marriage rate was about the same for Black families and white families. Even then,
80%.
60% of the violent crime was being committed by the 10% of the population that was Black men. So it's not just that Black men lost their fathers and therefore they lost discipline and control. This unbelievable, disproportionate violent crime rate was happening even before the Black family disintegrated in that way.
Can I see the stats on that? I would like to read that for myself. I'm not saying you're a liar. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's interesting, and I want to use that on my show.
Yeah, I talked about it on my show this morning. So okay. I put the slide up. So, but Pearl, you can share my email. I guess I'll just put in that we have a private chat. Right? I'll
Yeah,
just put my
and
email in the
I
private chat.
remember I read writings from like the 1900s from northern Black people complaining that southern Black people were migrating to the north, and just the problems that were coming with it because it was like a Thomas Sowell writing. But yeah, I mean that's been
They
complaints
have
like that for
they
a long.
have
Go ahead.
videos of blacks, of affluent blacks in California, talking about the migration to the West Coast and what's going to happen when the Southern and Midwestern blacks move to the coast. You can see videos on YouTube about it right now.
Yeah. This is why men must stay ready and loaded. No need to cry about corrupt judges or jury. Take it up in their own hands. Google AI won't let me speak clear. I don't know. Let's let the self-defense lawyer answer that.
Again, the problem is they use the system to punish you. The process becomes the punishment. They'll prosecute you. They may well convict you for a perfectly lawful use of your gun in self-defense. You can still end up in prison for the rest of your life. And even if you don't get convicted, even if you win on the legal merits and you get an acquittal, the cases I consult on, these defenders who've never been in trouble with the law a day in their lives, but are getting prosecuted because they pointed a gun at somebody. It's not hard to spend a couple $100,000 in legal expenses before you ever get to trial. So if you don't have that kind of money stuffed in a mattress just in case you have to defend yourself, well, then you end up with whatever legal defense you can afford. And I can assure you a $20,000 legal defense and a $200,000 legal defense are not the same things. It's like any other war. The more resources you can bring to the fight, the more likely you are to win. So all these people who say, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. First of all, it's idiotic. That's not the binary equation. But have you seen the 12? The 12 are not 12 people like you. It's not actually a jury of your peers. Just imagine it's a jury combined of people who are retarded and hate you for your skin color. That's your jury.
Please, Doug, today isn't the time for asking for donate. I don't think he was.
Oh no! In the chat though, I'm doing the standard moderator stuff.
Oh yeah. I mean,
So Andrew, what do you think of USCAA? That
I've got nothing good to say about them.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So this is not my show, so I'm not just going to open up. But I don't recommend USCCA. USCCA is a company that provides what many people call self-defense insurance. So if you're prosecuted, they promise to pay your legal expenses. Unfortunately, I've seen too many cases where they just break that promise. And they don't cover their members. So I just can't recommend them. If anyone's interested in a company that does that kind of thing that I do recommend, I would recommend CCW Safe.
CCW Safe? All right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So back to Charlie Kirk. We talked about the response. Well, we talked about the response from Trump, but I'm just still curious on how, if you were, you think that conservatives are going to start canceling their tours? Are they going to require there to be bulletproof glass when they speak? It's going to be indoors only now.
They're going to have to do it indoors.
I'm wondering what the next year is going to look like. Not on like a macro level, but like a micro level. So let's say I had a college speaking tour, like 6 dates at 6 different colleges. Like, what would you ask for to be able to do your speech? And they were throwing enough money for you to take the risk. What would you ask for?
How much money do you think that would have to be for me to take the risk of getting shot in the face by some lunatic? Yeah, I mean, you can try to take steps, but unfortunately, there's no guarantee. Even presidents get assassinated, right? So you can hold it indoors. You can tell them to set up metal detectors. You can have like courtroom type security. But who's in that auditorium in the weeks and months before that scheduled event? Everybody in the university, anybody can hide a gun in there. For the president, the Secret Service goes in with dogs and detectors and sniffers and looks at every square inch of the facility. But you can't cost effectively do that for every conservative who wants to have a conversation on a college campus. I mean, what the left has managed to do is obliterate this exercise of free speech.
So then what would be the best place if you were a conservative speaker to speak? If
right
you were to
here.
Take public,
where we are right now.
No. Let's say they were going to sell some tickets at some crazy amount to make it worth your while. right? And they wanted to have like 5,000 people to listen to you speak. What kind of venue would you think would be safe enough to get to be secure enough on your budget for you to not have to worry?
There would be no amount of money. I can't spend the money if I'm dead. So what they'll end up doing is they're going to end up doing all these conversations the way we're having this conversation right now. I'm pretty sure Pearl can't shoot me from there, right? I'm safe here.
Yeah.
Can't.
Yes. Go ahead.
Oh, I wanted to share. There's a tribute made to Charlie, but I'll finish the conversation. And I'll
Oh no,
show
go ahead. Go ahead. I just wanted to know.
I wanted to see what they said.
Go ahead,
All right,
Pearly.
share screen. Fox just made this.
Oh, my mic is too low.
Narrative looks back at the life of Charlie Kirk. Good evening, Mark.
Brett, good evening to you. Charlie Kirk's death is being called a watershed moment or even a turning point for the country. The 31-year-old political activist had a massive following, both online and in the corridors of power here in Washington. Before becoming a household name in conservative politics, Charlie Kirk was a teenager growing up in the Chicago suburbs. He told the Daily Caller in 2019 he knew early on politics mattered.
I was always naturally conservative, loved America, loved the values that our country stood for, and I never understood why you'd want to deviate from that.
Kirk thought he'd end up at West Point, the Army's military academy, but after being denied admission, he chose to start something for himself.
It's that old adage, one door closes, another door opens. Of course, that's correct.
In summer 2012, Turning Point USA was born. What started small later became a political juggernaut, a conservative youth activist organization now operating on 3,500 high school and college campuses. Kirk explained what drove him in his first Fox appearance 13 years ago.
A lot of kids are feeling the effects of what we like to call, with the Washington economy, with a lot of debt, plummeting small business, with higher regulation and high taxes.
As the Tea Party movement evolved, Turning Point USA grew. So did its influence. The AP writing Turning Point events became more ornate, taking on a nightclub atmosphere with strobe lights, pyrotechnics,
Pearl?
thousands of
So Turning Point USA made $85 million in revenue in 2024, and Charlie Kirk his estate was worth $6 million. Go ahead.
Okay.
young conservatives in attendance. Kirk endorsed then candidate Donald Trump in 2016 and later worked to re-elect him in 2020.
I believe it's imperative we get the president reelected. In fact, I think he's going to get reelected.
As Trump later regrouped for 2024, Kirk continued to build an empire and a family. He married his wife, Erica, in 2021 and later became a dad of two. Trump himself thanked Kirk for staying loyal amid a year of chaos.
And I want to express my tremendous gratitude to Charlie Kirk. He's really an amazing guy.
With Trump now back in power, Kirk remained active, speaking out constantly about the conservative movement.
There's a revival happening in this country right now.
Tonight, tributes continue to pour in for a man many believe helped change the course of U.S. political history. And those tributes continue to pour.
Dang. There's one more. Wait, let me find the other one. Oh, here it was. This is the one. Share this tab. This was posted by his wife.
What makes you?
Actually, let me turn the music off. I don't know.
Yeah, you get jammed up.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, this is heartbreaking. I don't even know. That's just terrible, man. You're gonna make me start crying, and I'm an old man.
Hope they find these people and hang them by their balls, dude. Seriously.
Public execution.
Yeah, my wife called me, so I'm actually on a motorcycle trip. I just got into Las Vegas, and I pulled into the out front of my hotel when I got here.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I got off the motorcycle, my wife called me to tell me Charlie Kirk had been shot, and she was crying.
Yeah. I couldn't believe it. I thought it was fake at first until I saw the video on Twitter.
Yeah, and they put the video of the actual shot up on Twitter real fast too. So that was one of the first things I saw because you texted me Pearly, and then I was like, let me just go to Twitter, and it was there, and I was like, wow. So
it just makes it even weirder for me because I've done so many like debates like that, and I never thought about that someone. Not that like I'm obviously not as big as Charlie Kirk or anything, but it was just weird for me because I've done so many similar debates and like to think someone that I met him a couple of years ago that like he died doing, that kind of thing. It's just weird. I'm done though. Street interviews. No, thank you. Where's the was referring to the monsters after your family. Wait, let me see. Some more. Since CK unaliving, will the government try to pass a law that takes away people's rights and freedoms in some way? What do you guys think? Since he died, will the government try to pass a law that takes away people's rights and freedoms in some way?
Well, the left always does, right? Every
the left does it,
every
yeah.
act of violence that involves guns, the left tries to use that. Even though, I mean, it should be obvious to everyone who's not a moron that the people who are unwilling to respect the laws against murdering someone are probably unwilling to respect the laws about what kind of gun you can use to commit the murder.
Yep.
I truly believed he could have been our future president. The shooter believed this, and that's the reason they took him out. Pasty George, something is very sus about all of this. USCCA, all other insurance have legal limitations against criminal charges. Joint attorneys on retainer, actual lawyers retained on small fees. An appeal defending a woman dropped by USCCA. Do you think we'll see protests over this? Probably not, right?
I don't know. All I know is, there's a lot of people out there who are royally pissed off.
Yeah, by protest, you mean marches in the street and looting, riot, and arson? Probably not. That's not how the right does things. If you mean by protest that this is going to be a sustained topic of conversation on social media that will be unrelenting, I certainly hope so.
So do I.
Okay, wait. It says CNN reported that the weapon used in the shooting of Charlie Kirk was not recovered at the scene. Analysts said the shooter appeared to plan carefully, positioning himself, firing a single round, and then packing up the weapon before leaving the rooftop, which provided direct access to the parking lot. Authorities are now focused on whether surveillance captured clear images or vehicle details. A 25-year-old person of interest is in custody as investigators pursue search warrants for a house and a car. This is the person that's in custody. The name of the person in the custody of the Charlie Kirk case circulates online. A columnist for the New York Post and Fox News reported that Zachariah Ahmed Qureshi, it was a Muslim. Okay. It's the person of interest detained. He does not look Muslim. But Ahmed, he's got to be Muslim, right? After Charlie Kirk's assassination in Utah, authorities have not confirmed the suspect's identity. Officials have only said that a person of interest is in custody with no charges filed. That's what I thought. It'd either be a trans person or about the war. But it's not confirmed yet. So I guess. Oh, never mind. I take this back. Kash Patel said is not true. Sorry, guys.
Okay.
Ignore that.
It happens.
Well, if it's cash, you can take it to the bank, right?
Insane. Well, R.I.P. Charlie Kirk, and I'm hoping that his wife and 2 daughters can find peace in this situation somehow.
Here, this is Megyn Kelly talking about it.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Reporting that Charlie has died. That he's dead. At the age of 31. Which he would have to be if that video was real.
There's no way he survived that. The only good thing is, it had to have happened quickly.
Right.
That's so sad. I knew.
I saw the wound. I knew that was going to be fatal. I mean, he had less than a 5%. Well, it was less than a 5% chance of survival with that where he was hit.
Yeah, I said the same thing.
Can you imagine being in the crowd and seeing that live? You're just sitting there and that happens. Wow.
Yeah. I'm telling you, they were shooting for. They were aiming for his head, and the bullet drop and the windage hit him in the neck.
Oh, here they're saying, I don't know if I want to show this on YouTube, but does this look like he was wearing a bulletproof vest? They're saying he was in this clip. I'm putting it in the chat because I don't want to play this on YouTube.
Let me see.
Yes, that is a vest of some type.
Yeah, but a soft vest, the kind that are comfortable to
3A.
wear, will not stop a 5.56 round.
No, it will not. That's a 3A.
You'd have to have a plate in it, a ceramic plate, to stop a rifle round, and those are very uncomfortable to wear. So nobody wears those.
Yep, and then
unless you're in actual combat.
And if you look at the microphone, you'll see the bullet hit right in that area, right behind where the microphone is, in the neck. So,
Michael Knowles says here. I'll read some of the. Charlie Kirk would have been president. His friends knew it, his admirers knew it, and his enemies knew it. The universal confidence in Charlie's future began with his countless political accomplishments. At 18, he founded Turning Point USA, which went on to be the most important cultural organization on the right. By 22, he was addressing the Republican National Convention. 3 years later, he founded Turning Point Action, which led the Get Out the Vote effects that delivered first Republican popular vote in 20 years. In his spare time, Charlie published 5 books, hosted a national talk show, married a lovely wife, and fathered 2 beautiful children, all of that by 31. Charlie's appearance inspired as much confidence in his accomplishments. At a towering 6'5" slouching, he joked that he had descended from Nephilim, the giant fallen ones of the Old Testament. He might have been born with such a nature as well as we are, as we all are, but he was not content to remain so. Charlie loved his Savior. The zeal with which he debated politics palled in comparison to the excitement with which he discussed religion, and his religious life bore fruit. Turning Point launched a faith division to focus specifically on his followers' souls. There, too, Charlie's enthusiasm for open debate set the tone, as he invited atheists and even Catholics to take part, but he didn't need a specific religious conference to convey his faith. Charlie Kirk's religion bore fruit in everything he did. Discerning observations believed in Charlie Kirk, not chiefly for his accolades or his appearance, but his manifest virtue. Charlie's prudence, the principal virtue in politics, built a generational coalition that helped to transform the American government. His temperance distinguished him as one of the few on the right to eschew whiskey, cigars, and every other delight that might have distracted him from his purpose, for which he had so little time. His sense of justice produced clarity and moral vision and grace for his opponents. His fortitude impelled him to enter the public square without a hint of servile fear. Charlie's only fear was the holy sword, awe and wonder, the beginning of wisdom, and his clearest virtues were theological, faith, hope, and charity. We all mourn his death. We take up his course and we entrust him, and confidently as he entrusted himself to God's care. That's what Michael Knowles said.
That's about how it goes.
Wow.
But the right is going to have to galvanize and fight back, because this is crazy.
You have to make them pay. You have to make them pay. It's not that hard to kill another human being. So when it's done, you have to make them pay for having done it.
Yes. I'm very familiar with that.
Agree. You guys have anything else on the topic? I think I pretty much said everything I wanted to say today.
I'm good to go. I'm glad I was able to come on and help you out, Pearl.
Yeah, thanks. Come on anytime, Terrence. You too, Andrew. You guys are both friends of the show. We love having you on.
And Andrew, I will be sending you an email. It'll come from redonkulous12@gmail.com. I literally want to get that data from you so I can use it in my show.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a news article, but it was from I believe it was from 1958, discussing FBI data from 1956 or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you might just Google it. It might come up. I just found it on X. So.
But I watch your show and I'm a fan, so.
I did cover it on my show this morning. So if you look at my show this morning, it'll pop. But it's a 90-minute show, so.
I will.
Can you both say your channels so people can find you?
Andrew Branca Show. Andrew Branca Branca Show on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm easily found at redonkulous.com, redonkulas.com. And then I have a YouTube channel and a Rumble channel, and I'm on virtually all of the other video platforms on the planet, even a couple in Russia where people take my stuff and put it there.
Just look for the guy on YouTube wearing a tie. That'll probably be me.
Yeah. And I actually do comedy on the internet to keep men from killing themselves. And since we started this at the end of 2008, we're up to 567 lives saved, and we read them on the air.
Congratulations, man. That's God's work.
Yeah, people keep telling me that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens moving forward. All the rest of the conservative speakers, you got to do your due diligence, man. Because, like I said, the left always paints the right as these horrible people with words, but it's always the left. So they paint the left as demons with their words, but the left are the ones using violence. That's the difference. You can talk about the alt right and how they're going to be so terrible, but who's the only one, inflicting violence on the other side? So, to all the conservative content creators out there, speakers, you got to do your due diligence, man, because your lives are on the line now. A precedent has been set, so please be careful.
Amen.
Yeah. My final thought is that this is a really sad situation, and my heart goes out to his wife and his kids, because that's just really sad. And he was a smart young guy, and he had a bright future. So, and I think it's going to change the way people do content and events forever, because everybody's going to have this in the back of their head when they're doing street interviews or any really type of debate content. So. Thanks for coming on, guys. We appreciate it. Guys, go follow both of them and subscribe to their channels. They're both doing really good work. So
thanks, Pearl. Have a good night, guys. Good seeing you.
Take it easy.
Thanks for coming on, guys.
Yeah, I think I'm just kind of in shock. I just can't believe that happened. Well, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for coming on. Buy Charlie Kirk books. Money goes to his family.
Yeah, R.I.P. Charlie Kirk.
Yeah. You got anything else, Doug MPA?
No, it's just one of those, it just feels like things aren't going to be the same after this. And I don't know how or why, but things just aren't, they can't be the same after this. Let's just put it that way. That's it.
I agree. I mean, even everyone I know is going to move differently that does this kind of stuff, like every single person. Because you just, I think every YouTuber or streamer that watched or that saw this knows that they've been in a similar situation where they haven't had security, or you've had a really intense debate, and now it's going to be in the back of everyone's head that they don't want to get stabbed or shot. So,
yeah.
Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel. Rest in peace, Charlie. I'll just say, growing up, I watched Charlie Kirk for like a decade. I did have my disagreements with him, obviously, but he did great work. I loved watching his debates, and it's really sad that he died. So like the video, subscribe, and we will see you next time.